Hey everybody, welcome back to my devlog. Today I want to cover and show off all of the progress that I have made, especially since the last part was more of an introduction to me, who I am, and what I want this project to be. I feel as if I have made decent progress. I've got a good few features and mechanics done to a basic standard. I also have got a very early prototype of what I want the first level to possibly include or, possibly look like. However, let's kick things off at the start, the main menu. I've wanted to try and go for a very similar design to the original game. However, this current design was more to get a grasp of how I could use Unreal Engine's user interface editor to better learn on how to create certain aspects of a main menu. I do plan on changing this layout, and I may even go for something completely different. I'm not too focused on the user interface at this current moment in time. It's definitely something I'll come back to, but for now it serves its purpose. Moving on to the level select screen. This screen can be accessed by clicking play on the main menu, and when it pops up, the player is given options as to what level they want to play. Once again, the screen will change, but for now, it will do. Something cool that I did in terms of loading levels is that I load the levels asynchronously. What this means is that Unreal would load the level on a separate thread instead of loading on the main thread which the game is currently running on. This allows the level to be loaded in the background, so no graphical issues or lag spikes are visible to the player. And this is the level prototype that I have at the moment. It is a city level with multiple buildings, all with their respective purposes. Now, none of the buildings are fully detailed, as like I mentioned, this is a prototype level. However, I still wanted to try and capture somewhat of the feeling that the final level will provide. I have many different types of buildings. For example, I have a petrol station, I have a church, and I also have a massive skyscraper. Placed around this level, I plan on having city-related interactables, and what I mean by that is things such as petrol pumps that will explode upon impact, air vents that will launch the player in a certain direction, cars that will act as obstacles, and many more. Something I will have to think about is buildings being destructible. I have had this thought for a little while now and it's been floating around, but it would ultimately allow the player to cause a lot more damage, hopefully allowing the player to have more fun, because damage is equal to fun, right? Well, I know it is for me, but at the end of the day, it would all be down to how I implement this feature and how extreme I would go with it. But moving on from the level, let's now discuss the mechanics. When I published the first part of this devlog, I only had a few mechanics. I had launching from a cannon with a customizable shot power, which was handled in both the cannon blueprint and the character blueprint. A dynamic collision combo on screen, which displays what objects the players hit. Score adding depending on what is hit. Barrels crumbling after being hit, and exploding barrels launching the player after being hit. So, what features or mechanics have I worked on? Well, during the time between this part and the previous part, I have completely redone the launching system. It is now handled within the cannon and solely the cannon blueprint. I've added a trajectory line, which was only possible because of the reworked launching system. I've added in mid-air emoting, which was also only possible due to the reworked launching system. Added in a boost mechanic, which is mainly used for a debug tool at the moment, but I do plan on reworking it for game functionality soon. Added some sounds, mainly just a sound on first impact or some random in-air shouts, and twerking. What am I working on now? Well, to be honest, I have only got one thing on my mind at the minute, and that's a grabbing mechanic. I had tried to implement this already, but I got it completely wrong and ended up making a tornado out of my character, so I will have to try it again. But that is all for this video. Thank you for sticking around. Feel free to leave any suggestions or questions you have in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.